Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, I'm Tori, and today I'm so excited to share my fall book haul with you guys. I know I say this pretty much every time I film a book haul, but it's true. This stack right here, this is quite the stack. We've got some really big 2024 fantasy and sci-fi releases in this stack, and I'm so excited to share them with you. I'm really excited to get into a few of them this fall. The earliest book in this stack, I think I bought like back in July, and then the most recent ones are actually from this past weekend. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff to get into. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these, what you think of them. No spoilers, of course, and let's get into it. Okay, so first let's kick things off with none other than Disquiet Gods by Christopher Ruocchio. And this is the 6th book in the Sun Eater series. And I feel like a broken record at this point. I don't need to keep telling you guys, but I'm going to tell you again anyway. I am having the time of my life reading the Sun Eater series this year. It has just been incredible. This to me is just sci-fi at its truly like most epic, and I'm loving everything about it. I cannot say enough good things about it. This will be a series that truly will stay with me for the rest of my reading life. I love it so much. So I am currently on the 3rd book right now, which is Demon in White, but I am so deep into Sun Eater, you guys. I'm on the 3rd book, but I've read the 2 novellas, The Lesser Devil and Queen of Mid-Ashes, and I've also read the first short story collection. So this Sun Eater journey has been something truly special. This is going to be a 7-book series when all is said and done. The 7th book is slated to come out sometime in 2025. So Disquiet Gods actually released earlier this year. I believe it came out in April. And so yeah, I'm just going to keep making my way through the Sun Eater series. I cannot wait to get to this point for Disquiet Gods. And it's just going to be a good time. If someone is just stumbling across this video and is unfamiliar with what Sun Eater is, it is this incredible epic sci-fi series. And we have our main character in this, Hadrian Marlowe. And we find out at the beginning of the 1st book, Empire of Silence, like the very first page, that Hadrian is responsible for destroying the sun, killing billions of people in the process. And the entire series has been Hadrian somewhere in the far future looking back on all of these events and telling us the story in his own words. And it all starts with Empire of Silence, when he is a nobleman's son and just wants a different path for himself. He sees, you know, the life that his father has built and the power that his father has, and he just wants something different. And pretty soon you start to see the choices that Hadrian is making is setting him on a really dangerous path that it's just getting darker and darker as the series is going on. So I love everything about Sun Eater. I could sit here and talk about Sun Eater all day. This is the 6th book, again, Disquiet Gods, and I cannot wait to get to this point in the series soon. And then I've got another really exciting 2024 fantasy release here. This stack right here, this is like truly throw out your TBR and just focus on these books kind of stack, but I cannot afford to do that to my TBR. But this is on my fall TBR, and that is The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. This is her new release, again, just came out this year. I love The Ruin of Kings so much. That's the 1st book in the Chorus of Dragons series, a series that is still very much in progress for me, but I was just obsessed with everything about the way Jen Lyons was able to tell that story, the world building, the characters that she created. Again, the structure of that 1st book is just incredible, and the just really detailed family history and the lore of the world and everything. Oh, I love it so much. And from there I was like, whatever Jen Lyons does next, I'm gonna pick it up. And now we have The Sky on Fire, and this just sounds amazing. This is a dragon fantasy, as you can probably tell by the cover. So in this we have a main character. It sounds like she's a dragon rider, and she's captured, but then pretty soon she's rescued. But the people who rescue her, it sounds like they have some more dangerous motives, and they want to involve her in this grand heist to steal from a dragon horde. So I want to say that this is also a standalone novel, which is just really nice. But yeah, The Sky on Fire, this is definitely priority as we move into the fall. Cannot wait to finally crack this one open. And then next I have another big 2024 fantasy release that I've just been putting off. I don't know why I've been putting this off, but this just sounds amazing, and it's from who I would consider to be a little bit more quiet in the fantasy and sci-fi space, but it's still a big name, still kind of a heavy hitter nonetheless, and that is none other than Navola by Paolo Bacigalupi. This was on my radar leading up to its release, and then it finally came out, and I was just like, this sounds incredible. So this has been described as Game of Thrones meets The Godfather, and it's a sweeping epic fantasy that is inspired by Renaissance Italy. and I'm quoting this, "It's soaked in wine, gilded in gold, and flavored with intrigue and betrayal." That's really all I want to know about this going into it. I feel like Paolo Bacigalupi has leaned into sci-fi and dystopian elements more so in his work in the past. So to have this like grand scale, it sounds like grand scale epic fantasy from him is really, really exciting. So this is also something that I would love to dive into as we begin to head into the fall. But yeah, really cool to have a new Paolo Bacigalupi book on the shelf. And then next I have another just really great sounding book. I've actually already started this one, nothing too serious though, but I am about a chapter deep into this, and that is The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. And this is Andrea Stewart's latest fantasy release, epic fantasy. I'm sure a lot of you recognize her name from the Drowning Empire trilogy that started with The Bone Shard Daughter. And I did read The Bone Shard Daughter last year, and I liked it fine enough. I didn't come out of it loving it, didn't come out of it hating it or anything like that. I wasn't the biggest fan of the cast of characters that we had in that book and just the way that we rotated through their POVs. I did think some of them were a little bit flat, and only one of them actually was a big standout for me and just made the rest of the story more exciting to read. So yeah, I thought The Bone Shard Daughter was just fine, but I didn't love it enough or was curious enough to want to continue on with the rest of that trilogy. So I did end up DNFing it. But even though I did DNF it, I was always really interested to see what Andrea Stewart was gonna do next, because at the time I still recognized that, you know, she had a great hand for the world building and the magic and just the setup and everything for The Bone Shard Daughter. So I was like, you know, there's definitely some great fantasy talent here, and I do want to see what she's gonna come out with next. So now we have The Gods Below, which is very exciting. And it says that this is the story of magic, betrayal, love, and loyalty, where two sisters will clash on opposite sides of a war against all odds. I love stories that focus on sisters. I love that dynamic. So immediately this already grabbed my attention with that element of the premise alone. So yeah, we'll see what Andrea Stewart has cooked up next. I have high hopes for this. This is the first book in a new series called The Hollow Covenant, and it sounds like it's going to be really promising. And then next I have two books here that I got over the weekend. These are the two where I am like this close to just kind of picking up my TBR and throwing it out the window. The first one that I have here is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I'm so beyond excited for this. So happy that I finally have my hands on this book. This again is a new release. This is Alexis Henderson's third book. I read the first one, Year of the Witching, and loved it. I have not read the second one, House of Hunger, yet, but I do want to get to that eventually. But Year of the Witching I thought was amazing. Just the atmosphere of that book was incredible. I remember thinking at the time that Alexis Henderson's ability to craft atmosphere and just how her wording kind of gets under your skin, I remember just from Year of the Witching that was amazing. And so now we are several years removed from the Year of the Witching, and we have her brand new novel, and I just already know that imagery and that atmosphere and just the writing itself is just going to be that much stronger than what I experienced in the Year of the Witching. So just even from that alone, I love Alexis Henderson. Cannot wait to start reading this book. We have our main character in this, Lennon Carter, and it says that her life is falling apart, but then she gets a mysterious phone call to take an entrance exam at this college, and the college is in Savannah, Georgia. So already I know we're about to get that just really creepy, eerie Southern Gothic horror, which I should just stop filming this video now and just start reading this book. I think this is going to be another banger from Alexis Henderson. Cannot wait to get to this. Top priority as we move into the fall and the cooler weather and spooky season. And then next up is a recommendation from one of you guys, and I take those very seriously. Immediately I looked the book up. It sounded amazing. I put it on my TBR. Went into Barnes & Noble. I had no intention of like going to seek this book out. I was just in Barnes & Noble, as I typically am, and I was in the new release section, and the book was right there. So it was meant to be, clearly. And that book is Asunder, and this is by Kirsten Hall. I am not exaggerating. This sounds like it has the potential to crack my top 10 of 2024. I read the description of this and I was like, yes, yeah, this sounds like everything that I love. It sounds dark. This is a fantasy book, and it sounds like we're gonna start blending some elements of horror. We have our main character in here, Karis, and she is what's known as a death speaker, and she's able to communicate with those who have recently died. And then Karis inadvertently ends up binding someone to her shadow. It just sounds so creepy. She's like doing these investigations around the city. I think there's gonna be a lot to love here. And I think a reason why this book spoke to me so hard is because it kind of reminds me, just a smidge, kind of reminds me of The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter, which is a fantasy book I read last year. Phenomenal. Still obsessed. I'm still thinking about it. Cannot wait for the third book to be released in 2025. But obviously I'm just gonna go into this excited for a new experience, fresh fantasy experience. So yeah, this sounds incredible. Thank you to the person who recommended it. I cannot wait to dive into this. This is top of the TBR as we head into the fall. Next I got another new fantasy release here, and that is The Spice Gate. So it says, journey through the Spice Gates as Amir, a young man born with the ability to travel between the 8 kingdoms, unravels the power that keeps the world in balance. And this is a standalone debut fantasy novel, and it says that it's perfect for readers of Ken Liu's The Dandelion Dynasty. You got me already. I'm a sucker for that. S.A. Chakraborty's The David Bye Trilogy. You got me again. And then also Andrea Stewart's The Drowning Empire. So just even the combination of those 3 authors in their series, it had me raising my eyebrows, and I was like, okay, I guess I will give that a chance. So I'm really excited to get into this one. I do think though, this one, more so than the other ones in this stack, feels like a little bit more of a wild card in terms of will I enjoy this or not? So I just want to go into this optimistic, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing how I get on with this one. And then last but not least of the 2024 releases, I have The Principle of Moments here. And this one was so kindly sent to me by the author. She is so sweet. And so I am really excited to get into this one. And we have 2 characters here who are separated by time. One character is Asha, who is in 6066, and the other one is Obi, who is in 1812. And our character Asha sounds like she comes from this enslaved planet, and her world changes when someone unexpected shows up and delivers some news. And then our other character Obi, it sounds like he is a time traveler, which sounds really fascinating. So he's a time traveler, and pretty soon it says here that he hears about the ghost of a girl in the British Museum, a girl from another time. Obi and Asha's paths will cross, and it says when it does, an ancient prophecy awakens and they discover the fate of the universe now falls on their shoulders. So this sounds great, and the back says that this is unmissable for fans of Becky Chambers and her spacefaring found family elements, the magical London of V.E. Schwab, and the epic climate craft of N.K. Jemisin. Last but not least, I'm going to go through these last 4 pretty quickly. These are backlist fantasy titles that I've wanted to pick up that have been on my radar for a while. And the first one here is City of Lies. I actually remember when this book first came out, and I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, that actually sounds really good. I'm going to put it on my TBR. Never put it on the TBR. Now here we are all these years later, and I'm very much still interested in reading this book. This is actually a duology. This is the Poison Wars duology. And in this we have our main character who is very skilled at poisons and chemicals, and he is sworn to protect the Chancellor's family from treachery and assassination. And it sounds like that does not go well. So it says when the Chancellor succumbs to an unknown poison and an army besieges the city, Jovan and his sister Kalina must protect the heir from enemies within and without. So this sounds great. I feel like I'm getting more of a traditional kind of fantasy vibe from this. Yeah, I have high hopes for this one, and I can't wait to dive in. Next, I picked up The Blacktongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. This is another one that has just had my eye since its release, and actually it's the new book that came out, The Daughter's War, which I think is a prequel. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like people are describing it as a prequel. I feel like I've seen that book more than I've seen The Blacktongue Thief go around, so I was already interested in The Blacktongue Thief, but I feel like it's all the love that I'm seeing for The Daughter's War that's kind of making me be like, oh, maybe I should give The Blacktongue Thief a try. So here we are, finally picked it up, and in this we have our main character, Kinch. And it sounds like he owes his guild a small fortune, and in order to pay that back, he's kind of been pickpocketing people, ripping people off, all of that. But it says today Kinch has picked the wrong mark, and it sounds like things just spiral out of control from there. This has been described as an epic journey where goblins hunger for human flesh, krakens hunt in dark waters, and honor is a luxury few can afford. So already getting very adventurous vibes from this. We'll see how this goes. Oh, it literally says fantasy adventure, like in bold letters on the back. And then finally, I picked up 2 books I've been curious about for a while. One, because I've been more curious about the author and their work, but the other series has been on my radar, and I'm finally just wanted to take the plunge and dive into it. So the first one that I have here is Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. And Daniel Abraham is one half of the Expanse series duos. So I want to see what his solo work looks like. I have heard such great things about the Long Price Quartet over the last couple of years or so, actually, but it wasn't until Tori from ToriTalks, I believe this was on her like best or favorite fantasy books of all time list. Oh, please don't quote me on that. I think it was though, and that was kind of the like spark that I needed to be like, okay, I'm finally going to give this a try now. Seeing her talk about it and seeing her enthusiasm for it was the push I needed. And it just sounds like we have this really incredible city. The city is at the height of its power. It's just extremely dominant in all different respects. It sounds like the city is going to get a very rude awakening when this poet, sorcerer type character enters the mix, and it could be the downfall of everything. And then last but not least, I have Fate of the Fallen here by Kill Kate. And actually I wanted to start with her. I think it's the Dark Tidings series first, but I think it's more books in that series. I was like, oh, let's kind of tamper it down a little bit and just try Fate of the Fallen first. Immediately the description of this says, not all stories have happy endings. And we have our main character in this, Matthias. He finds out that his destiny is to actually save the world. And when he finds this out, he just goes at it full force. But it also says saving the world isn't as easy as it sounds in the stories. It's gonna get rough, and folks start to believe their best chance for survival is to surrender to the forces of evil, which isn't how the prophecy goes. So yeah, I'm curious to give this author a try. This is kind of another wild card I feel in this stack. Like, I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna feel about this, but I'm feeling optimistic. But more to come, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you guys on this book. So that is it for me, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Again, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on these books if you've read them, spoiler free of course. And I just cannot wait to get into the fall, especially because I want to crack open the books that are high priority for the fall from this stack here, like An Academy for Liars and Asunder and Navola. I think it's just going to be such a great time. So thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.